Hey everyone, it's Paddy here over at Pictory. Thank you so much for joining us on today's webinar, and just tell us where you are all from in the chat, what you do, if you're working in education and learning development, what do you specialize in? Would love to know a bit more. We can call some people out in the chat. If you've got questions, please get them into the Q&A. We're going to answer them throughout the session. Also, we've got a very special guest with us, David Landsberger from AppDirect, and he's going to be going over how he's using Pictory to really drive and enable his partners to get the most out of their platform. And just give a quick shout out. So Carol Pariette Lippi, I hope I pronounced it right. Apologies if I haven't. She's doing workplace safety training. Yeah, let us know in the chat what else you guys are working on. I would absolutely love to know more. And also supporting the webinar today, we've got Nishita from Pictory. And if you've got any questions as well, she's going to be able to help cover that off within the chat. So let's get this session kicked off. And first of all, we're going to be covering a little bit detail about how AppDirect is using video training and basically why it matters for their audience. They've got an amazing story to tell, so I really can't wait to share that with you. Next, we're going to be talking about we're going to be doing a demonstration of a 5-minute workflow that you can try immediately. So as soon as you finish, or if you've got your Pictory account open, you can try this. And then we're going to talk a bit more about how L&D teams scale content without increasing budget, because I'm sure we all got tight budgets from our teams, and we've got to maximize those opportunities. And we've got Jermaine here from Switzerland. So how are you doing, Jermaine? And he's just starting with Pictory. He's doing a YouTube channel actually about his experience with his son with a psychiatric diagnosis. So thanks, Jermaine. Thank you for sharing that. And please do let us know if you've got any other questions. So let's bring in David Landsberger over at AppDirect. David, thank you very much for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me, Paddy. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I mean, I love as someone's worked in partnership marketing for some time now, when I read the stats that that your team have done, it was like, I don't want to sort of put the cart before the horse, but it was frankly mind-blowing, like some of the numbers that I've been able to read. So, David, could you share maybe a little bit more about your team and sort of who you train and who you look after?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm in an organization called AppDirect. We're a business-to-business technology company that offers different types of business services through an indirect channel, right? So an indirect community of sellers. And my team's responsibility is to train all of those salespeople that are not AppDirect employees, but instead sign a contract to resell services through AppDirect's service portfolio, which includes things that, major world telecom companies, including large hyperscalers as well, more boutique cybersecurity firms, et cetera. So my team of educators has the privilege to curate that community, right? Bring them all the education that they need to be successful, to sell the right services to their clients, which could be anywhere from, a small business that's, just around the corner from them to, a Fortune 10 company that has offices all over the world, right? So it's everywhere in between. It's a very diverse community of sellers, and that actually brings about a lot of the invigorating sort of educational and pedagogical concepts that we really have to work with as a community to service those learners in particular.
What stood out to me actually is the fact that there's like zero mandatory participation, and I think we've all done courses and training where you have to do it to get that certificate. Maybe some people will just go through the motions to get it. So the fact that you were able to get the sort of results that you've been able to get without that mandatory participation speaks a lot to the quality of training you'll be able to provide. But was there like one particular challenge that you found even when like putting this together that stood out when you first came up with this enablement suite?
Yeah, I think the number of sellers and learners that we had to enable was overwhelming. Yeah. And the scale at which we were expected to create content was very challenging. I came into this organization via an acquisition about 3 years ago, and my world just force multiplied overnight in terms of the amount of people that I had to educate. And Pictory has been a critical tool in helping us scale our efforts, because my team, despite the fact that we have over 10,000 sellers that we have to work with, as you see on the slide here, my team really hasn't grown But what has grown is tools like Pictory, right? In terms of their ability to deliver information at scale and also help us as instructional designers, content creators, and educators really put information and training together in a meaningful way that raises quality, keeps things timely because in technology things change all the time, but also creates good outcomes for the learner, which is really what it's all about. If they're not experiencing a good outcome, they're not going to come back to us and ask for more. They're not going to ask a clarifying question. They're not going to take the certification that's attached to the training, right? So Pictory has been very critical in helping us address that so we can stay up to date and also service this very diverse community that has very, very different reasons for partnering with AppDirect. And it's very hard to service all of them with a one blanket approach, right? We have to get a little bit more individualized with folks.
Yeah, I think that what's interesting is that a lot of the people are reselling the product, so they need all of the material available to them in a way that's going to be relevant for their audience. It's similar in a lot of ways to affiliate marketing, which is what I do here at Pictory. We've got some affiliates that will write blogs, some affiliates that will do social media posts. They have like different needs for the type of content they put out there. But obviously in your case, the success is obviously measured on, I suspect obviously like how they're going through the app. Are they completing it? Are they returning? And then also how they actually doing those sales? Are they actually getting those numbers in? Because I would imagine there's quite a straight line between that.
Yeah, you're right on the nose there, Patty. I think whenever I'm engaging with one of these indirect sellers, entrepreneurs, to me, the most critical thing is how far can I move the sales process for them, right? From initial discovery to them actually bringing a solution to their end user customer. If I can move that sales process as much as possible through a training engagement, I've done my job. So obviously there's an initial fact of discovery, right? They have to understand the solution that they're learning more about. But we also have to help them get to the process where they can quote that solution and ideally sell the solution too. And this can be really challenging in my world because I don't have any control over these people, right? Like they can sell whatever they want. These are independent entrepreneurs. Maybe they're technology consultants that are independent by themselves. Maybe it's a very large multinational value-added reseller or VAR, right? We have every single type of business profile in between that across the world. So really just making sure that they understand their full scale of opportunity is really important to me. But that being said, while I'm talking about this group and how diverse they are, they're all very similar in some regards when you think about educational concepts. It's really hard to get people's attention nowadays. And that's something that we really have to be cognizant of. We have to plan for it in the content that we build. Things have changed for me as an education professional so much, in the almost 2 decades that I've been doing this now, because when I first started out, I had a little bit more of your attention span. Now I'm not just competing with whatever's on the LMS or whatever training content exists in our vertical or our space. I'm competing with every single piece of content on your phone. I'm competing with every single ping that's coming into your desk, off your laptop, off your phone while I'm trying to communicate a value-added educational message to you. And because of that, we have to raise our production capability and our delivery capability. Pictory has helped us so much in that regard. So, we've talked about a couple of the metrics here. I want them to understand. I want them to quote. I want them to sell. But you mentioned returning to the training, right? That's actually a good metric for us to understand the quality of what we're building and how the user is interpreting the value of the training. And right now, what we have within our LMS, at partnering with Pictory as being, the main engine building that content out, is we have an 87% return rate to our platform quarter over quarter. I mean, that's very
phenomenal. Really phenomenal.
We didn't always have that number. That's something that we've built over time as we've upped our quality, the engagement tools that we use throughout the type of the training, and also just condensing things, I think, to be a little bit more modern with people's sensibilities. People are so clever nowadays. They know pretty quickly whether or not they want to continue exploring something off the initial bat. So we have to give them that taste. But I mean, if I got 87% of my learners coming back saying, yeah, I want another training, we're in an enviable position. And it's a privilege that we have here at AppDirect to maintain that number and potentially even grow it. And it's something we're really looking forward to challenging in the coming year.
And I can imagine, I mean, we got some stats we're going to share in just a moment, but video has obviously played such an important part of it. And obviously, given your experience, the decades, you said 2 decades experience in the industry, how has using AI tools in general, like, accelerated your production? Because I was for a online course platform
Yeah.
back in 2016, 2019. And I can honestly say, like, if I'd seen some of these tools then, my job would have been like a million times easier. So what has that been like,
Sure.
that experience?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. Right now we're using a lot of agentic AI solutions to help us throughout the entire process. We made a big focus about 2 years ago to go through a data cleanliness exercise and make sure that all the data that we were pulling or feeding into an LLM, a large language model, or a tool like Pictory for that matter, was stateful, right? That it was the right information. We had to take everything and house it in the right place so it could stay secure and also in a place where we can update it regularly for these types of tools. But I mean, the impact of that has been incredible. Where I used to take time to sit down, let's say I'm drafting a training on cybersecurity, right? And I'm trying to help people understand the importance of, avoiding phishing attacks. That would have been something that I obviously would have had to have researched myself, written myself, whether I use like an audio dictation device or I sit down and type it out, right? It's still going to take me the time to do that. Now, I do think that like the core script that we build our education off of is still kind of the linchpin of quality because all the other tools feed off of that. So I think that that's the area where we still probably spend the most time in editorial, making sure that everything has the right type of information, the right types of facts to back it up. But once we create that initial script, gosh, the tooling that we have nowadays just allows us to really start running it at light speed, right? Mm-hmm. So tools, trainings, a full-blown certification program, for example, would take us months to develop. We would have to go into the studio. We would have to record. We would mess up. We're human beings. We screw it up all the time. We have to re-record, right? With Pictory, now, because we have this process and these templates in our Pictory instance, we're able to drop in this education and also maintain it in a way where if a price changes or a solution changes or a feature changes, I can simply swap that out and add in the new information and boom, republish the video in a matter of minutes. That editorial process and maintaining the education and keeping it up to date is maybe actually the area where we've seen the most increase in efficiency, quite honestly. Because like I alluded to earlier, this is technology. Things change. Yeah. For salespeople, the incentives change very often as well. So we have to go in and constantly refresh these assets to make sure that everything's as up to date as possible. It's been tremendous, and I think we're still scratching the surface of how we're going to be supercharging our educational efforts, let alone our marketing efforts at AppDirect with AI. There's so many interesting things happening in the sector right now.
And what I found interesting, I'm sure like you maybe you agree, I'm sure you agree with this, like moving from a like static learning environment to video, like do any of these stats, do you feel like really ring true even with like the work that you're doing here over at AppDirect?
Yeah, I mean, like that one in the middle, learners watching 2.5 more instructional content versus reading equivalent materials. A lot of my learners actually even watch videos on like 2.5 speed, right? So they're ingesting the content as quickly as they possibly can because we only have so many minutes in the day, yet our expectations professionally are very high, right? And we have to make these tough choices. So we've definitely seen an increased completion rate, to speak to the one on the left. We've seen deeper engagement. And then as far as knowledge transfer goes, I work primarily with salespeople. They're very kinesthetic learners. They really want to learn by doing. Yeah. So I think another approach that we've had with our tooling at Pictory is to give people, scenarios for them to work through, like a sales scenario that would involve taking something they just learned and positioning it with a customer. Try this pitch on for size, right? Do an elevator pitch. do a little bit of account mapping through your organization with this solution and tell us where you think it might land. Where's your internal champion? Where's your economic buyer? Things like that. We've absolutely seen knowledge retention increase with a combination of all of these different instructional methodologies.
And what was it, do you think, that made you actually like take the action to create this type of content? Was there like not so much a breaking point, but was there a moment where it was like, we have to, was it perhaps when you joined or when your previous company was acquired? Was it like, wow, like there's a lot that we could do here? Or again, was it like a breaking point or something where it's like, we need to take action like today?
Yeah, we definitely had an inciting incident, which was that acquisition, right?
Yeah.
For those of you that are out there watching, if you've ever been acquired, you know that there's a lot of uncertainty that can go along with that. And in this instance, not only did I have that uncertainty as a professional, where I'm like, hey, where is this going to shake out for me, for my team? I also at the same time knew I was going into an environment that was much larger in terms of learners, larger in terms of the overall scale of the organization, and really just their mission was a little bit bigger than where I was coming from. So what I did is I started to listen to myself as a student, right? Like, what did I need as a student, right? What did I like? What didn't sit with me? And what I found, and I'm sure I'm not the only person out there who feels this way, is that I was learning more from YouTube than I was learning from more traditional sort of educational methodologies at that point in time, right? 3 years ago. So I started to explore the way a lot of YouTubers were building, their content, let alone educational content for a B2B environment, right? Because, we're all people at the end of the day. We follow the trends. The way we use technology in our personal lives is what we bring into the corporate environment, right? So I started to notice this trend, whether it didn't really matter around the demographics of the learner, right? Specifically, I started to notice this trend where things were being created at speed, but still maintaining the message throughout, maintaining their purpose, their rhetorical context. And that's one of the reasons why I started to look for a tool like Pictory.
Got you. And with the workflow as a whole, how have you used like the ADDIE sort of process within that? Where do you see like, sort of Pictory fitting in the best within this?
Yeah, I mean, this is actually a really accurate way of how we design. We do have a product marketing team here at AppDirect that supplies us with a lot of the market insights and the statistics that we need to sort of prove the position for the solution. And then our team, channel enablement, will go in and create the scripts. We use AI for a combination of that, but we obviously want to retain our own voice quite literally. So when we do create the videos in Pictory, we keep our own voices in. We haven't leveraged perhaps just using like an AI voice or recording ourselves to create its own instance of our voices. And that's kind of where we like to have mistakes like verbal pauses and cues and ums and ahs.
Yeah.
Because we're in this weird AI transition and we just want people to remember there's human beings behind this stuff, right?
Absolutely. And I think with too many, I as much as I and ah a lot, but even when I've taken some of that out, sometimes even the gaps, it seems like almost like you're jumping around. Well, for me anyway, I'll be jumping around too much when I'm talking on camera. But was there? I think we mentioned we were talking about the 81% learner return rate. But what stood out to me with these particular stats is the content proficiency, 34 days. So basically, like within a month, pretty much within a month.
Yeah.
Your partners are up to speed and are able to start doing the things that they're signing up to do.
Yeah, you're right on it. Let's lose quickly or let's win quickly. That's kind of my whole thing when I'm bringing in a new channel partner. It's a new experience for them. We might not be the best fit, and that's fine. But let's do it as quick as we possibly can. So a combination of the content that we build and then the educators who work on my team who onboard all of these individual channel partners, they're able to give them some customized attention where we can help sort of nurture, our learners along this path to get them to produce something in a business month, right?
Yeah.
Or just, part ways as friends, which is also okay to me, right? Because their business is different than ours and they might have a better fit with someone else than with us. And honestly, in the discovery process, you might learn something that is going to increase your business plan with AppDirect or potentially decrease it as well, as we're still in that initial feeling out period. But yeah, I mean, if I have 1/3 of all my opportunities getting to a quote stage, giving me an opportunity to close, convert on that third, at the scale that we're talking about, this is a healthy, formula that we can rinse and repeat and bring people into to decide, all right, who's going to continue to grow their business.
Yeah, I'd love to know from people in the chat as well if they've got any numbers that they can share about maybe like return rates or even like some of their success or completion rates in their courses, and see how that would stack up. But from what I know, like completion rates is just a general term overall are always like in the low single to low double digit area. So even this is like a 3x better, 3x or even 30x better than the average out there. So one of the things I wanted to, so I'm sure actually I'm going to ask you this. So when you do your presentations, when you use like PowerPoint to video, which we're going to be talking about a little bit later, we've all done lots of decks, lots of presentations that are overloaded with too much text, too much info on one slide, too much complexity. Is there any particular tips that you've got when you're maybe converting your PowerPoints into videos? Is there anything that you would maybe take away or add on even when converting them?
Yeah, I think one of the things that is important to me is that don't underestimate how smart the person is watching the video, right? If you have text on the screen, they're going to read it. What you're saying on top of it, the audio should be additive to the text that's on screen. It shouldn't be a narration, especially when you're talking about these challenges right here that we're seeing on screen, like information overload, right? Slides need purposes, right? And they need to be very instinctual in that purpose. I should be able to read a slide initially, take it in a couple seconds, and understand why it's there. If I can't understand why it's even present in the deck, we've got a problem. And I think one of the big failures sometimes I see in deck approached instruction is a lot of times the slides are there for the instructor. They're not there for the people sitting in the audience. It's more like, I needed to remember to say this, so that's why it's in the deck, instead of being in the speaker notes or something like that. And part of that can be related to the room logistics of how you're delivering something, or the audience, or your own experience as a public speaker. But I think being very audience-centered in how you create slides is super important, and that allows you to scale when you look at the tools that Pictory has as well.
Absolutely. So one of the things that we're going to do in just a moment is actually go through a demo. We're going to take this Death by Slides presentation we've got here, and we're actually going to turn it into a video. So David, I'm going to just quickly share my screen, share another tab, and we're going to jump into the demo right now.
Yeah, do you think, babe?
If you've got any questions, everyone, about this process so far, any questions for David, please do let me know, and we're going to get this swapped over. So, as mentioned, we've got the presentation. We need to break it down, and we need to actually go into the workflow. So, let me bring this up. So, I've got a PowerPoint presentation here, and what I can do now is use PowerPoint to video to actually break this down into a video, summarize it, and then deliver a fully fledged video for my audience, for my LMS, wherever the video content needs to be served. So the quickest way to do this, if you haven't got a Pictory account already, so you can start free and try this out. Head over to PowerPoint to video, grab any Microsoft PowerPoint file type. I've got one here that I prepared earlier, and we're dropping that in. Oops. And we're going to hit speaker notes for narration. So we're going to use the speaker notes that are included within the presentation. You don't have to, but we're going to use it as for part of this demo. The upload's complete, and now we can hit generate video. And then from here, this video storyboard's being created. So we're going to have the audio script, the video. Obviously, we're going to be using the PowerPoint presentation, captions, and this really depending on how big the file is, this generally takes no more than a minute. But what I'm going to do is head on over to tab where I've loaded this previously. So this is what you're presented with. You see each of the scenes here. They're broken down. Again, lots of text, lots of information, but if there's things that you want to change here within the scene, if I perhaps want to change the date again to make this up to date, I can do that. If I want to change out the visuals, so let's say if I want to find something that has, let's check videos here, say security client, and we can see what comes up. So I can also add in other videos with just a click of a button here if I wanted to do that, if I wanted to make any changes. If not, I clear that out. AI Studio, one of the things that our team found out when they were over at DevLearn recently is that the amount of people that are using AI Studio for imagery. So if there's an image or if there's something additional that you want to put into the slide, you can actually just generate this from a prompt. So you can type in whatever you want, or if you want to put a prompt in, you can do that. But for the purposes of the demo today, I'm going to show you how to do this and how to put a new voiceover. So I'm going to hit generate and apply. And then what's going to happen is now the script or the story that you see here is going to be, it's going to have an AI voice added over the top on for each of the slides. And then within just a couple of seconds, that's going to be done. There you go, the voiceover has been applied. And then from here, if you want to preview the video, if you want to actually show maybe someone else within your team, someone else within your department, you can simply hit preview video here.
Today we're going to walk through the essentials of cybersecurity compliance for 2025. The goal is to help you understand the small, everyday...
So if you want to do a quick preview, you can do that. But now, if we're satisfied with what we see here, or perhaps you want to add in some additional text, I can add this in here. You can add any text you want, move it anywhere you like within the slide. You can change the font, you can change the color, the background imagery, you can do whatever you like. But one of the cool things that we've seen people do actually is have a brand kit set up. So if you're going to be, like David, creating lots of these videos at scale, then you can simply use a brand kit, and then that will simply apply logos, brand colors. It would put it all over the slide. So it's one less thing for you to do in order for you to actually get the video that you want. And again, less time for you getting this over to production, less time back and forward. We want to make this as easy as possible for you to get your video created and get it out onto the floor. And just looking at, so I'm just looking at some of the questions here. Yeah, so yeah, just a quick one. You can use PowerPoint presentation, but if you want to use Google Slides, you just simply download the slide as a PowerPoint format, and then you can upload it here within Pictory. So now that we've created the video, I'm not gonna play this particular one because I put some Pictory's Octopi over it all. But we hit download, and then it's going to prepare the video, apply the voiceover, and then in just a couple of seconds, it's ready to go. But you can still work on it, and you'll get notified once this is ready. So I'm going to close this just for a moment, and I'm going to show you what this video looks like. And again, in just a couple of minutes, we can get a video like this.
Today, we're going to walk through the essentials of cybersecurity compliance for 2025. The goal is to help you understand abstract. They've surged dramatically. A 37% increase in attacks isn't just a statistic. It means our organization is being actively targeted more often. Why? Because hybrid work expands the attack surface. Personal devices, home Wi-Fi, and quick context switching make us more vulnerable. Compliance isn't paperwork. It's about reducing risk.
As you see here, what it's done a summary of a summary of these slides. So you can change that if you want within the storyboard editor, but we've been able to very quickly put together a presentation that's using the best parts of the presentation, and again enabling you to get this out to your learners at scale. So Glusher's got a quick question, which is, does Pictory change the slides to be learner-friendly or add animations? So we have text and imagery and video that you can put back onto the presentation within the editor. So I'll just quickly bring this back up. So you can add in other elements here, other text, audio, visuals, and video. But if you mean like scene transitions, you can apply a transition here, like a wipe up, wipe down, wipe left for each of these if you want to actually do that. So the choice is yours. So Glasha, I hope that answers your question there. So Dave, if I can bring you back in for just a couple of moments. Obviously, you're working within partnerships and sales enablement, but is there any other, like, just for you working in the L&D industry for so many years, is there any other like use cases that you've seen where Pictory or video is being used to really enhance the learner experience?
Yeah, it's interesting, this new feature that you guys created, because it's had an interesting effect internally at AppDirect, right? So my team's primary audience are these indirect salespeople, are not employees of AppDirect. However, we have a calling card internally of having high quality training. We're known for our service delivery when it comes to education. So now I have peers internally at AppDirect who are sending me slide decks and they're saying, hey, can you do anything with this? And now this tool actually gives me something to do for them, right? And we obviously have to curate it. We have to add some layers. We have to take some of the links in the decks and, kind of reposition them to be more interactive for the user. But just earlier this week, we actually took a deck that was created by our operations team, which was about how to use AI and how to do it and stay within company policy, and, create agents. We took that deck and we loaded it into the tool, and we haven't released the training yet, but we're actually really excited about how it's going to be received when it's done. So this actually allows me to scale sort of horizontally, like within my own organization, which is really interesting because that's not really what my team is here to do. But since we are the owners of the Pictory tool within the organization, we're happy to help others, get to where they're looking to go with their outcomes.
Yeah, it sounds like you're getting a promotion at some point. Maybe be like Chief Learning Officer, Chief Marketing Officer, all rolled into one, to CLMO or something like that.
Yeah, I'm going to snip that, Patty, and send it to my Chief People Officer.
We need to get David a raise. So if you agree, press one in the chat. But yeah, I've seen just using, again, like my personal experience using Pictory, even for things like webinars, just so easy just to quickly cut out, mistakes, ums and ahs, and getting something out to someone very, very quickly. So I'd love to know in the chat if there's anyone else that's using Pictory right now for any of these workflows. But generally speaking, employee onboarding, obviously, which is very similar to what you're doing right now, sales enablement, of course. But there was another fascinating use case, which is our founder, Vikram, is now using the PowerPoint to video feature for all of his investor updates, investor reports. So you've got, very much like the other slide, text, numbers, tons of information, and obviously, high growth VCs and stuff like that. They just want to see that. They generally want to get a quick breakdown of what's going on, and now we're using Pictory to deliver that. So what would have taken him a long time to put together could be created in a matter of moments. But one thing, whilst there's obviously a couple of things that we don't do. So we're not like creating these like Hollywood grade cinema experiences. There's obviously going to be other tools that can help you with that. But ultimately, whatever you put into Pictory, there's so much that Pictory can do, but your instructional design expertise is always going to matter with this. And I think that's the one thing, there's a lot of people saying like, AI is going to take our jobs and so on and so forth. But I do think, at least for the short to medium term, our expertise in instructional design, ours and your instructional design expertise is what's going to stop we don't want to have like AI slop going out to people. So you set it up, like you said, you've got your whole process you've built out, you put it into Pictory, and then you've got like a good training product. But is there any particular advice that you would give to someone maybe that's thinking of starting using Pictory today? Is there, as someone that's been working in education and L&D for some time, is there like one tool or one thing they should do right away, apart from maybe PowerPoint's video?
Yeah, I mean, first off, I think my first piece of advice is just procure the tool, right? I mean, it works. It works within very diverse educational environments, and it will suit whatever your needs are as long as you're managing it effectively. And the other thing is just to experiment. I mean, we spent a lot of time playing around with the different types of formats or templates that we really wanted to, and those were obviously informed by our educational goals. But we did a lot of A/B testing just internally to sort of figure out, like, okay, what sort of reactions are we getting from people when we create the training in this way versus this way as well. I think really doing that experimentation process and learning from your learners is super crucial. I think this PowerPoint feature is super cool. We've been experimenting with the new feature that is a Chrome extension that allows you to kind of look at web pages. There's a lot of features in Pictory, right? There's a lot of different ways you can build education. So I think experimentation is key. You have to get in the sandbox. You have to be willing to stay up to date with the solution because you guys have a lot of updates coming.
Yeah, we've got some big features coming. We've got avatars that's coming around Q1. Hopefully I can say that. I mean, I guess cat's out the bag now, so guys can't hold me to that. But yeah, we've got some AI avatars. We're enhancing our AI studio. Again, I encourage everyone to go check it out. The URL or the Chrome extension that we just dropped this week is absolutely phenomenal. So if you've got a blog, a web page, or some piece of information, and like you were saying, like, you know, people consuming information everywhere, you can just click a button and get a video created from it in just a couple of clicks. So the idea here is that you design the learning as the learning development specialist, and obviously we're going to help with the production of that. So with that in mind, I'd love to put this out to the rest of the audience. If we've got any questions that are coming in, I'd love to get them answered. So my reason to ask a quick question: does your tool take text for the script from the notes? What to do if you have slides of only 3 bullet points? So we can take the text from the script in the notes and create the story from that, but we can also just do it without the notes. So whatever the context is on the presentation, even if it's 3 bullet points, our storyboard creator is going to figure out what you mean by that. And also, when you jump into the storyboard editor, if there's other things that you want to put in within your video, it's just a matter of just copy pasting whatever it is, or just typing, hey, this is what we do here, so on and so forth. So you can just add in and make those changes. And again, you can create these into different formats. So if you're in an environment, and I'm not sure how much like sort of micro learning content you've done, David, but where people are consuming content perhaps on a phone or a mobile device, you can actually fix the formats to either be widescreen, so it's suitable for a video like this, or something within, you know, a mobile phone or browser. But are you doing any of that? Are you taking sort of various formats and changing them for mobile, or something else there, David?
Actually, no, you just taught me something right there about being able to convert this for social or for just mobile devices. That's super cool.
Yeah, it's really good. And as we know, like going back to what you were saying right at the very start, attention spans have dropped dramatically. So you've got to try and like keep them on track. George's got a quick question about the pictures. So when it comes to your like a free trial account, what you won't see the watermarks. You'll see the watermark on the preview. In the preview, the quality of the video is less, and that's just so you can get a quick preview of what's going on. But then when you download the video, it won't have a watermark, and it will be like at a higher res. So Giorgio, I hope that answers your question here. And actually, I just want to know, just from your experience, like where do you see sort of future of like a product like Pictory going, or is there one thing that you would love for Pictory to do to support you in like 2026 going forward?
Yeah, I think being able to have layers in a Pictory video really opens up a lot of possibilities. And I think that your team and this solution are really at a very interesting nexus when it comes to where the product can go in the future because of things like that. Right, you guys are creating so many different ways to generate training, but now you're adding to sort of the production component of how you interact with the viewer with those layers.
Yeah.
And that could potentially have the ability to like have gamification in it. Obviously, there's turnstile capabilities for like marketing capture, looking for emails, etc. But I think having like quizzing or just knowledge checks live in the video with those layers is really interesting to me. And I think it points towards where this product is going, which I think is interaction, right? Like user interaction in addition to user watching the generation of the text. I'm really excited to see where that goes because it's already Pictory's already checking so many boxes for me when it comes to content creation, delivering at scale. We're already getting great reviews on the production component of the training that we're building. But if we can get the user to interact with the tool even more, I really feel like that's where this tool becomes even stickier than it is today. And it's already quite sticky, to be honest with you.
Oh, that's awesome. I don't know if you've seen this actually. We have like a layer of functionality as well within the library. So as you do the search for the visuals, you can actually add in different videos all within the one scene as well. So that might be something you can look at. But I think we can get Jimmy as well within our team to reach out and show you some of the other tricks of the trade because he's in the app like 24/7 at the moment, and would love to get your feedback.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, so question, does picture change starts to be learner friendly or add animations? I think we covered that. I think we did cover that earlier, so that's fine. So one of the things that we want to do is actually make it really easy for people to get started. So you can sign up for Pictory today. You can go right ahead and do that. But if you really like using the product and you actually want to take advantage of an annual plan discount we've got for everyone here, it's 20% off our Pictory annual plans, and it's PowerPoint to Video 20 as the coupon code. But again, I would encourage everyone to actually go ahead and give this a try. And is there any, is there any of like final words from you, David? Like, if there's anyone that's thinking, maybe, and I'm still not sure that a tool like either Pictory or even AI video can help me, what would you say to them if they're on the fence still?
Yeah, if you're on the fence, jump on the other side. I mean, with that promotion that you just shared there, Patty, I think it's worth the risk to just jump in and start playing around with the tool, procuring a license, and really starting to see how it can change your workflow. You're going to notice immediately the hours that you're going to get back in the day. And there will be a slight learning curve just in terms of learning how to use the tool, but it's a very surmountable learning curve in terms of, being a educator that knows technology, right? You're not going to find yourself swimming or completely lost in your user adoption, which will allow you to focus on your outcomes. So I think just jumping in, being brave, getting that license and playing around with it, sharing the content with people. Once you start sharing it with people, that's when you're going to notice the difference, right? Yeah. Because you may have saved yourself 3 hours that day, but when you share it with someone and then you get their reaction as a learner, that's really where you start to see things change organizationally or just for yourself. You're, an independent tutor or educator, right? You're going to start to notice this feels different than what I was doing before in a good way.
Yeah, it's like that aha moment, isn't it? And I think that's something we always want people to get. Certainly, we obviously want people to get when they're using our product. But as a learner, if you can say, "Oh, like I didn't know I could do that," or "I didn't know I was able to do this with AppDirect," for example, you've like created that moment of delight that's going to stay for a very, very long time. David, if I'm sure lots of people are going to probably want to reach out to you and like connect with you and figure out like how the heck did you do everything? So what would be the best way for people to reach out to you? Just over on LinkedIn?
Yeah, just search me on LinkedIn under my name here. Send me a connection. Let me know you coming to me from Pictory webinar. I'd be happy to chat with you.
Oh, amazing. Well, thanks everyone. Well, again, got any questions, feel free to, you can log into Pictory, ask our help desk, and they'll get back to you right away. But if you've got any other questions post-webinar, we're going to be sending out the recording to everyone for everyone to check out, and feel free to reply back to us. But David, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. Again, with all the learners and everyone that you're educating, so this really means a lot to us, and obviously we look forward to working with you more in 2026.
Yeah, thank you, Patty. I appreciate the time here. Thanks for everybody for joining as well out there. It's been time well spent. And yeah, I love Pictory. Love where you guys are going.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. And we'll see you on another webinar. Bye-bye.